I'm hosting a series of podcasts through 2026 focused on property management leaders who are in the trenches and who are modernizing their marketing and operations with AI strategy and execution. So if you're thinking about how to best roll out an agentic or an AI strategy at your company, you're in the right place to listen in. In property management, AI is driving excitement, strong opinions, a healthy amount of skepticism as well. So instead of talking about AI in theory, we're going to go into practical examples. So with me today is Stephanie Ortiz. She is the marketing manager, and I'm taking this directly from her LinkedIn profile, self-described chief chaos officer and wearer of many hats with Legacy Residential based out of Miami, Florida. So we'll get to that title in a second. But I wanted to just quickly state that Soci.ai is at the forefront of AI strategy and execution for property management in the industry of property management. So in partnership with Soci, Stephanie is putting AI to work for her company. She's testing it where it adds value, where it doesn't. She has ideas on how teams can adopt it in ways that will generally support people and day-to-day operations that you're going to want to hear about. So Stephanie, let me start with just asking about, why do you refer to yourself as a chief chaos officer, and should we be afraid?
Well, maybe a little. So I have a reputation for breaking things, but I think you have to break stuff to fix stuff. So that's kind of the idea. I mean, isn't that what tech is and what
Yeah.
marketing is and what life is in a nutshell? I mean, so I tend to stir things up a little bit, and it's very organized chaos, though, I'll say.
Love it. Yeah, I really appreciate it when I read that. So let me just ask you a couple questions to kind of kick us off. I mean, you jumped into using AI and our social genius agents most recently pretty quickly. I'd call you kind of an early adopter. I envision, when people listen to this podcast, I envision people being at a different place in their organization, trying to figure out, like, maybe some are really into using it and they're looking for just better ideas. Maybe some are like, partially scared. We always hear sort of the, is it going to replace people concept? So I'd like to hear your thoughts kind of on like at all those different levels, kind of what you would recommend that they can practically grab and say, all right, I'm gonna take a step forward in AI and using it, and I'm gonna take some advice from Stephanie as an example.
Yeah, well, I can start by telling you that even within our own organization, we have all those levels. I have people who are very much, oh, I don't like AI. I don't like using all that. It's too complicated. I'm nervous about it. What's it going to do with my information? And then I have people who I think that they wake up and they ask ChatGPT, which way do I brush my teeth before they start the day? So there's definitely, a whole spectrum of people that I'm working with on a day to day, even within my organization, and how they look at AI and tech in general. For us, I'd say as a company, overall, me being one of the people, obviously, higher involved in the whole rollout of AI and tech here, we've taken what we call a cautious but quick approach. You mentioned you'd consider me an early adopter. I wouldn't have said that if it wasn't that we were already so married with you guys before we went that far. Same thing with like our um, property management software system. The system that we're with, they just rolled out a ton of new AI features, and we were very quick to put ourselves on the list, like, hey, sign us up. But it's because of the relationship we have with them and the way we trust them. So I wouldn't say that we just, are like, give us all the new toys. But when it comes to partners that we're, comfortable with and we're sure of, we're a lot more lenient on that. And then even within that, anything that I rolled it out in phases. Um, Funny enough, I usually do like maybe 3 or 4 properties as an early rollout. I try to get like one from each of my regional managers' portfolios. So that way I have like feedback from each of my regionals. I get different people involved. And then from there, I'll be able to say like, okay, this is working, or these are the people who don't, like it. Let's tweak it. Let's add on a few more properties. And then we go from there. But I'd say definitely adoption is the hardest part of it, because you have to see who you're working with, right? Like some of my teams, they're just really against anything new. It's worked for 30 years and they've been working for 30 years. So why should they trust this robot? And what if, they put everything into this robot and teach the robot and now we don't need them anymore? And we've been really strong about making sure that the team gets that that's not going to be our goal. our goal isn't to take away anybody's role, it's to make it easier for you to do your job. So it takes a little while. You have to find the right people to pilot things with and kind of get those people who are gonna be your early adopters, like you said. But once you get somebody on your side, they can kind of start telling the teams like, hey, that thing that Steph was showing you guys in the meeting the other day, actually I've been using it and it's been really helpful. Oh, I've had more time to walk the property. I've had more time to, deal with Bobby, the old man who comes in and sits here every morning to have coffee with me. Because we want to make that connection with our communities, but we don't have the time for it all the time. So
Okay, another question, Stephanie, that I was, it was on top of mind for me too. Is we have a lot of discussions about obviously the value and the what AI brings to the teams, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on where you're intentionally leaning into the human side versus AI to give some perspective there.
no, for sure. I mean, personally, I champion all of our charitable efforts here. So I'm really big on community and giving back to community. And I feel like even though AI can help us with streamlining a lot of what we're doing, there's still stuff that you have to do one on one. Um, the old guy who comes into the office in the morning to ask you for a cup of coffee because he doesn't know how to run the coffee machine yet, even though he's lived there for 12 years. I mean, the manager's got to help him out with that. The leasing team's got to help him out with that. And just community events. AI can help us with coming up with the ideas and putting together, like, oh, this is a great idea for an event. We could do popcorn day and, we can have people stop by and pop in the office. But who's going to pop the popcorn? Who's going to hang out and pass it out and talk about flavor toppings? That's where you connect with your residents and build community. So you definitely still need people for that. And just
Yeah, I mean,
every
this has always been a people business, right? I mean,
right.
it's the perfect blend of the people and their personalities and AI, and I just like the idea that you can blend those together, use technology to, as you mentioned, the community events, right? So those are never going to go away. People love that, obviously, and I think even in terms of like the content that draws renters to even consider leasing your communities, we always refer to as the real, right? I mean, it's the real
Mhm.
content. It's not some fluffy made up stuff. It's the real
Right.
stuff that people really want to see. So, excellent. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Where has it saved you time versus improved quality? I mean, kind of give me some things that you've sort of takeaways that you've seen AI help you in your day-to-day operations there, Legacy.
Yeah. Creative for sure. I'm creative. I'm in marketing. Most of my property managers are not creative. They don't have that brain. So we when we rolled out ChatGPT to the properties and started letting them use ChatGPT to help them kind of with wording things in the right way. Um, I call myself the brand keeper and I kind of take it personal that the brand voice belongs to me. So I gave them all these preset guidelines that we were able to just drop into ChatGPT. And now if I tell them, hey, I need you guys to, put together something, you know, for the big game that's coming up, just, I want you guys to throw something together. They can just drop a couple images in there and they can go ahead and, ask ChatGPT to give them an idea, for this, what could we do? And they're able to get kind of inspired, like, oh, we could do a football game party night for that, like the Super Bowl's coming up. So I have a lot of the teams looking into how they can do those things. Ideas for ways to reach the residents. Captions for social, which also come out of Sochi too with Genius. Genius is very much the same idea, right? Like it's the same AI button. Um, so yeah, it's been able to help us a lot with creative. It helps us a lot with reporting. Sometimes my teams put together a bunch of numbers that they pull out of, wherever. And then when you ask them to explain these numbers to you, they don't know what they're supposed to translate that to into like human speak instead of accounting speak. So they'll drop stuff in there and be like, hey, how do I explain, what these numbers mean? And then they're able to go ahead and give us a better breakdown of these reports when they're talking to the on-site people. Um, so yeah, reporting and creative have been two big ones. And then day to day, I personally use it for everything. Like I'll ask ChatGPT to help me pack my clothes for a trip.
Your leadership, did they kind of come to you and say, we need to start looking at this? Or did you bring it to them? Or where do they stand in this whole thing? Your owners
So
and
the
leadership.
truth, I went to a few conferences early on, saw a few things that were being talked about, and I came back and said, you guys, this is coming. We got to start thinking about this. And everybody was kind of like, oh, yeah, it's coming, but we've heard about that. NPR said something on the radio or whatever. Nobody really cared. And then our CEO actually came back from, a vacation or something, and he was like, oh my god, this guy I was hanging out with, he was showing me this thing, it's called chat, look at this. And all of a sudden, chat is chat GPT, and he's like, we can be using this for so many things, why aren't we using this? And I had to be like, well, actually we are using this, just not the way you're using it. So I had to show him, like, back end, a couple little things that we had already started working with, like Copilot, Gemini, things like that were already integrated. And then we kind of explained how we could continue to go down that path. And then, of course, I feel like most people, once you get your hands on some sort of AI and it starts working for you in a way that you start to see a benefit, you want all the AIs. You're like, okay, where else can I put it? What else can I take off my plate? What else can I use less brain power on? And so it just kind of really moved quick from there. But it really went both ways.
Now you had like a cute or interesting name for our little bubble in there.
Oh
What would
yeah,
you call that again?
it's just my green bubble.
The green bubble. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
You're
green
not going to
bubble.
name that like the VP of chaos or anything like that,
I
or
mean, not yet, but I'm sure she's working on something. It's been a great little bubble. She's a lot of fun. I like to
yeah.
just be able to click there and, hey, help me, how many people posted last week? What am I missing? What was my engagement rates? It's really quick, and especially when that
Yeah.
CEO calls me, he's like, hey, I didn't see anything happen last week. And I'm like, oh no, yeah, it's right here. And I just can't push the button real quick. My little bubble tells me everything. And my little
That's
bubble does all
practical
the
examples. I totally agree with you. Like that's probably one of my favorite things is just in AI in general. Obviously, in our Ask Genius piece is
hmm
just at your fingertips, you can move so quickly, and
Yeah.
I really respect that. So this is a maybe a somewhat difficult question to answer, but when you think about where you're going to be in the next year with AI in your company and how you're handling, obviously, I guess what we would normally refer to as digital marketing, right? Search and
Right.
social reviews, etc. Like, what do you have a vision in your mind right now? What that looks like, and like where you're going, a path, a strategy?
Yeah, for sure. I think forefront, the first thing is just kind of like I said, the adoption rate throughout the portfolio. Um there's a lot of my team that, even though we've been rolling out these tools, that they're still a little resistant. So I think really finishing that one-on-one with a lot of them and getting all of them really into it by the end of first quarter is my goal. And by the end of the year, my intentions are, agents are running live. Agents are going to take off, all of this headache that I have with reviews. I'll only have to worry about negative reviews and fixing whatever reason there's a negative review.
Mhm.
And then I'm also rolling out, besides just Sochi, we're rolling out in AI in general here. Our property management system just, like I said, launched a bunch of stuff. So we're looking at Virtuoso inside of Yardi, and we're rolling that out. We're looking at, um, just a lot of things in general from other parts of what we're doing. So the idea is we're trying to, on the marketing side and digital strategy side there, reviews, take that off our plate. The teams won't have to deal with that as much. They'll just get, 10 points for good job. And with scheduling and kind of figuring out what to schedule on social, that's been actually really fun. Genius provides us with a pretty good uh, like layout of things, like these buckets, these times. So that helps us a lot with being able to take that off. And once the teams have that little guideline, it's quicker for them to be like, oh, okay, let me grab my phone and go make something cute. Where they're not trying to decide, like, oh gosh, this week should I do something promotional? Should I do this? Should I do that? Genius has helped kind of already just by putting it on the calendar for them. So hopefully by the end of the year, they'll be already just rolling normally on that. Like, yeah, everything Genius tells us to do, we just go ahead and handle it. Um, and just little by little getting there.
Yeah, I mean, again, more practical examples, putting it to use, learning, getting better. I love it, absolutely love it. So, I think there's just maybe one other topic that I wanted to discuss, and then we can kind of tie it up here. But um, as we go into 2026, the fact of the matter is AI has become this really super relevant search engine with renters. Turning to platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini to find new places to rent. um, that our studies show that generative AI tool usage has doubled since 2024, actually doubled. And I think our smart people will tell you that that's going to skyrocket, right? So does that does that resonate with you, and how do you think that will change your marketing approach moving forward? And I guess, have you thought much about that? Have you heard much about that concept?
For sure. AEO and GEO has been very the undercurrent conversation involved in AI. So the changes have already taken place. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop, but we already started doing some CTV commercials, streaming TV,
Mhm.
and we're already trying to lean into more of that kind of content that really fuels GEO and the generative engine
Yep.
searching. So doing all that is already started. Like we're already looking at keywords in the captions versus the hashtags. We're already looking at more video content, getting on streaming TV, doing those things that we know are feeding it. We're talking about bringing back our blog. We had one when we used to be an old company. We rebranded and we said, "Oh, blogs are old. Nobody does blogs anymore." And now we're like, "Wait, blogs are feeding the chatbots. Let's go back to a little blog here." And Reddit, believe it or not, I don't know how much you've looked into it, but Reddit feeds a lot of this content. So I'm trolling Reddit, looking through there all the time. It's a little scary. Reddit is a scary place to be. Um, don't look at the LinkedIn Reddit. That's not a place you want to go because you might find something you posted and embarrass yourself.
Oh no.
So but yeah, we're already looking at it, and it's already something that we keep talking about. And hopefully, we'll see more conversations at these conferences this year. Conference season's around the corner. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to present on this and what else they have to share on it.
Yeah. Yeah, the conference circuit has been AI heavy over the last year and a half or two, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I love the practicality of the day to day user rather than the high level conversations, and I think this is super helpful, and I really envision people learning from you in this, and again, coming in at different levels of where they're at and having confidence, and maybe even hit you up and ask you questions. So you never know. But I just wanted to really thank you for joining us again. You gave us some really good examples of how your team is using AI, and we appreciate you obviously as a partner too. And we continue to grow and learn together. And I guess I'll say go Canes for you, right?
Thanks. Yep, big day. So appreciate
And
it.
just in closing, and to our listeners, if you want to be notified about new episodes that are coming, be sure to subscribe to wherever you're listening. So again, thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Spencer.